Welcome back to Waking Mad. We just got back from the Afterlife Explorers Conference in Melbourne 2016. It was awesome. What do you think?
Yeah, we had a good time.
Had a great time. There was all the people there, the lecturers had really good content. There was this kind of marriage between science and
Esoteric
studies,
consciousness studies,
qualitative data on like P.M.H. Atwater and Mary Rodwell talking about alien encounters and the stories that come from that, and
afterlife experience,
near-death experiences. And then the whole event itself was casual yet professional. So you could kind of walk up to people and just have a conversation.
So Margaret's been a participant at this conference, and I understand it's been a very significant experience for her.
My son passed away on the 10th of October, just recently. And on Thursday, my girlfriend rang and said, why don't we just go and get a coffee down at Noble Park? And while I went past the health shop, I noticed a Living Now magazine. And
Living Now, yeah.
Yeah. And I picked it up and turned it straight to Afterlife. And I said, oh my God, this conference starts tomorrow. And I need to be there. It's just like a sign that I just needed to be there.
Do you think that you have some solace from this experience then, from this workshop, this series of presenters, that the understanding or experience of death might have opened up somewhat, your understanding of it? Or
Well, I always felt my son was eternal. He actually gave a message to a medium before I came here that life's eternal. And now I understand how it is. When I listened to Anthony Peake, he explained that whole process, and I really, it made sense.
And
the
my
whole
God,
thing
he
is
explained
making
it.
sense.
Yeah.
It's about everything making sense.
how important is it, as a grieving mother, to have some solace based on reason, not just platitude? Not just someone saying, oh, God is wise or whatever, but actually understanding what might be going on with living and dying.
Yeah.
How important is that?
Well, I suppose the way I can only explain it is, I don't feel him separate from me. I don't feel him separate. So I'm not going through the same sense of loss that somebody who doesn't have that, somebody who doesn't believe in that, they've gone and I won't see them again. But I don't have that sense of loss. I can actually feel him and sense him. And now I have proof that's true. It's validated. This whole conference has validated that for me. All of these feelings that I've been feeling, and I'm hearing other people have had similar experiences.
Isn't it wonderful to talk to people who deeply understand because they've gone through it?
Yeah.
You know,
oh
they're not
my
just
gosh.
talking out of a textbook or a platitude. They actually understand what it's like to lose a son.
The other thing I think is it allows me to want to live. No? I think if I thought I'd totally lost him, I might not want to live. But now I can live and know that it's just that he's now energy. He's now energy. He's still around me, but he's not in the form that I knew him physically to hold him. But it doesn't mean I can't have him in my presence and I can't sense him. Maybe I'll sense him as a smell. All these senses I feel are real. They're validated by the other people today. Over the weekend, they've validated everything.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the soul is eternal. I mean, how could it not be? So thank you, Margaret, for coming on to Waking Mad and talking about your experience at the Afterlife Explorers Conference.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
can I give you a hug?
A hug. I'd love a hug. Thank you.
I think the important thing about these sorts of conferences is they're always going to be a bit off the beaten path, exploring consciousness in all its outer limits. So you had people there who, were presenting, with regards to the life between life state, near-death experience, out-of-body experience, ufology and alien contact. You also had people there talking directly, like Anthony Peake, about what is consciousness and the idea, which I think we're coming across this quite a lot these days from certain theorists, that there seems to be like a bit of a ternary discussion going on, a bit of a like-mindedness going on, that this reality seems to be some kind of a digital hologram.
Yeah.
The idea that, questioning what is real, what is not real.
Well, that's it. We seem to be transitioning into being more accepting of these paranormal experiences.
Well, I think when you have paranormal experiences and you speak to people who've had paranormal experiences, one of the things about the Afterlife Explorers Conference is you had the opportunity to coalesce and bring together all of these people from different backgrounds from all over the world,
As
talk about the stuff that they probably don't really get to talk about to many other people.
Yeah, I mean, as opposed to like going to a pub and like debriefing, I just had this experience of orbs, and people just start looking at you really like you're weird. But
it was nice to be able to talk to people who didn't think you were a crackpot.
Yeah, and I think that's really important in today's society. We need to start
having these dialogues.
And like Molly Carlisle, she's talking how we need to be upfront about death. I think we need to be upfront and have discussions and dialogues about many things that we don't usually talk about.
Molly Carlisle actually was really good to interview. She was talking about how she's normally the fringe, person at a conference. She's been involved in government programs, and she's an Order of Australia medal. She's a palliative care educator. And she was saying how it was nice not to be the fringe person for once, because you had people there such as Molly talking about how to handle death and dying process and how to be able to talk about it.
Which is a
and that we need
issue.
to talk about it more because it's going to happen to everyone. We need to be able to be okay, with the facts of life.
At this conference, it was so good to have the smorgasbord of concepts that you could go in and out of, because the way that they structured it, it was like they had 3 on at once at different
Mick
locations.
and Catherine did a great job.
They did a brilliant job.
Yeah, I mean, we got to interview some amazing people, like Anthony Peake. He wrote the book The Daemon. His first book was Is There Life After Death? We were able to unfortunately we're unable to interview PMH Atwater, but she was present there and gave some wonderful seminars about near-death experiences, and she's obviously studied that academically. You had people like Mary Rodwell, who have had contact with people who have had contact with alien intelligence, and yet she said herself that she hasn't actually had that contact as far as she is aware herself. So you had lots of different sorts of people there coalescing. Robert Bruce obviously was there. He gave an excellent talk on out-of-the-body experience and the way of the master, and there's all sorts of workshops alongside of the seminars where you can go to the initial seminar and you can go to a more advanced topical workshop as well. And you don't have to worry about, do I believe in this?
No.
Is this real? Or are these a bunch of crackpots who are having very strange encounters? And I mean, we come across this a lot. What is crazy, what is not crazy. As far as I'm aware, everyone that we interviewed or had the pleasure of meeting there, had very coherent thought. They had day jobs. They had, they paid their taxes. They were decent people functioning in life with families and partners and children and all the rest of it, and just had these profound experiences as well.
Yep. They articulated this in books, and they've got communities revolved around these experiences and their discoveries.
And I think one of the major bugbears that kept presenting itself was the whole materialist reduction worldview. This is a paradigm which I think keeps us in the dark ages a bit, and I think we've been so afraid of being branded the crackpot, crazy, whatever, that it keeps people in the closet, in the consciousness closet. And I think we have to get out. We have to actually, at least be courageous enough to have discussions and to explore these concepts and notions.
Not be quick to shut them down, to be
That's
open.
right. That's right. And you don't have to say that you believe in it. You don't have to say, I believe in this, like a religion or a dogma. I mean, certainly, personally speaking, the way that I approached all the topics and concepts that we discussed and were presented to us at the conference was open-minded. I was open-minded about the whole thing. I don't know or believe in anything in particular per se. I was just interested in hearing all of these different opinions and perspectives and theories from some of the world's foremost experts in the field of consciousness studies.
Hi, my name's Andrew Ray. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, counsellor, past life regression therapist, life between lives and quantum consciousness facilitator. I found out about this conference from Catherine, one of the coordinators, and when I heard that there was an Afterlife conference, I thought, as a past life regression therapist, how could I not attend? The highlight for me over the 3 days was that it gave me a whole new perspective on, made me question previous beliefs that I had about life after death.
So you're studying a PhD?
Yeah, at the University of Metaphysics,
Yeah, right, okay.
which is in the US, and it's a new age spiritual, I guess more of a religious PhD than an academic PhD. I also have a master's in counselling from Monash University, so I'm not completely weird and wacky. I've actually got solid feet in a background of counselling people.
It's about straddling that abyss, isn't
It
it?
is, and I think there's a real opportunity to bring those two aspects together: mainstream counselling, hypnotherapy, and the transpersonal counselling, so the more esoteric. And I get a sense that those two things are coming together. And I don't think there's such a big divide now as perhaps we might have thought in the past.
Totally agree with you, Andrew. I'd suggest it's essential to bridge that gap and bring the two together. We just can't have this dichotomy any longer. And, we're all experiencing this life, better or for worse. We're all going to die. We're all going to experience tragedy, trauma. So, we need to know what the hell we are. And anyone who says they know who we are or what we're doing or what consciousness is or what life and death is, I think it's a bit premature. So we need to investigate these things. And I think it's through bridging this gap and having these sorts of conferences and talking to people like you, Andrew.
Well, that's nice, thank you. I'm looking forward to next year's conference, which I understand is in Queensland.
Yes.
And if anyone is sitting on the fence and thinking, is that something I should go to? I wouldn't hesitate in recommending that they come along to any future conferences. This one's been particularly well run, very positive energy, great speakers, excellent value. I've had a really great time.
Excellent.
Thanks for the opportunity of talking to you.
Thank you.
And so I felt quite privileged to be able to discuss these things with them and have these wonderful conversations. And I don't need to believe or know anything. I'm just happy to be a philosopher of consciousness. Scientist and philosopher of consciousness. And after all, science is a method.
Yep.
It's not a dogma. It's not a belief system. At the end of the day, does the evidence stack up or does the evidence not stack up? If it doesn't stack up, the jury's still out. Mm-hmm. But we keep asking the questions. We live in the question, and that's the place that we want to be.
But also, at the end of the day, it's subjective, isn't it? It has to be subjective.
Well, consciousness.
Consciousness. I can only experience something from within my own subjective view, right? Mm-hmm. And so
you're bound.
Yeah,
inextricably bound to consciousness. Mm-hmm. So consciousness is actually required to discuss and explore consciousness. You got a double whammy there of intersubjectiveness. How do you be objective with consciousness when you have to be conscious to explore consciousness? So we have to appreciate the subjectivity.
Yes. Appreciate, respect.
It's all about respect.
And that means appreciating and respecting the opinions of others and the experiences of others.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you have to come up with 500 crazy ideas to come up with one good one. And so, that's something that my dad likes to tell us. Our dad likes to tell us, you have to come up with the crazy ideas to get to the gold. And sometimes there's gold all over the place and you've been walking over it your whole life. And it's only with respect, which in Latin means to have a second look, to respectate, to look again, spectacles. And it's through that process that you get to find the gold that you've otherwise been missing and not noticing via belief systems that have blinded you to it.
We had an amazing time at the Afterlife Explorers Conference in Melbourne, and we can't wait for the next one, which I believe is at the Gold Coast in Brisbane.
Yeah, just north of Brisbane in Queensland, Australia, the Gold Coast. In 2017, the Afterlife Explorers Conference will be hosted again up that way, and we're really looking forward to going again.
So please subscribe, like and share the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.